Okay, so here's what I wanted to talk about. It turns out I actually do have to write another story. Not for a little while, don't worry. But I do
Mm,
need to write another story for the creative writing class, and I wanted to talk specifically with you, Leon, because you're a computer person, um,
okay.
about an AI, about a sci-fi story involving AI. And I mean, this stuff is distant future enough that so much about I'm not asking directly about realism. I'm more asking about like the general direction. And if you have any, because I've yet to figure out like the the hook of it. Okay, let me explain. So it, the idea came to me when watching some videos on the YouTube channel Computer File, um, about the stamp collector. Which do you know what the stamp collector is?
I have no idea.
It is a thought experiment. It is an artificial general intelligence thingy. It has been hooked up to the internet and been taught that it's allowed to send packets and it can read packets that are sent to it, like any computer can.
Mm,
It can send any packet it wants, but it can't do anything that a normal computer couldn't be commanded to do by a clever programmer.
right.
Um, it So like it can hack things, but it has to do as much work as that would normally require.
Yeah, that
Um,
makes sense.
um, it has been given a complex, and this is the part where it's a little bit magical because this isn't strictly speaking physically possible, but it's been given a complex and accurate model of reality so that it can predict the outcome of any given set of packets it sends. And what it's been told is you are to make it so that there are as many stamps as possible at this house in a year. And it's the thought experiment exists in the field of AI safety. The point is supposed to be that this thing has a very banal goal, and yet it is horrendously dangerous.
Yeah,
Um, it will, it is liable to hijack the world's hijack printers to print more stamps for itself. It is liable to steal credit card information to buy mountains of stamps. It is, um, its goal is incredibly innocuous and banal, but it will go horribly wrong if you design it naively.
yeah. It sounds like it just wasn't given enough parameters about how to go about doing
Yeah.
the thing.
It wasn't told about ethics, um, you know, which, I mean, the thing is, telling a computer about ethics is hardly an easy thing to do because we haven't told ourselves about ethics yet. Not in the complete terms that we would need a computer to understand them. Um, so I once heard the snark made about like computers in Star Trek that have ethics parameters, where it's like you flash a bunch of contentious issues like abortion on the screen, and because like by claiming that you have made an ethics chip, you have claimed to have definitively solved every contentious ethical question. You have claimed to solve the trolley problem. You have claimed to solve abortion. You have claimed to solve,
Yeah,
um, uh, you, um,
right.
uh,
Well, I mean,
hmm, yeah,
when you talk about teaching computer ethics, you're just talking about, giving it a certain set of rules
yeah,
beyond that follow in social
yeah.
areas.
So here's where the idea for the story is kind of like the stamp collector, but instead of a dude in his garage dicking around making a computer that collects stamps for him and not understanding the horror he has wrought on this world,
Mm,
the premise I want to pursue is this. It's the same setup. A computer has been given the internet and told that it's allowed to transmit whatever packet it wants and that it is will be told about, and it knows when it receives information.
yeah,
Um, and it has been built by a group of neo-Nazis. And it has been told, and I've not figured out the exact details of the instructions it's been given, something to the effect of, I want you to increase the percentage of Americans who are white. And the definition of the word white, it will be specified in the story. I've not yet decided on it because where I go with the ending will determine what definition I need for that.
Yeah.
And basically the idea is, how does this hilariously blow up in the Nazis' face? How does the computer misinterpret what a white person is and do something off the wall that they would never want it to do?
Enslave all white people, force them into breeding camps?
Yeah. That is where it could go. If it were more tragic, if it were more comedic. Like, the first idea I came up with, I threw this out because it's a little too... as much as Nazis are stupid, they would be smarter than this. Is for it to make painting drones and run around painting people with, like, white skin-colored makeup.
Yeah, I had that thought too.
To try to make...
Dropping flour on people.
Yeah, or another idea, and I would defend again, because, you know, white is a very nebulous concept. That's a lot of interrelated, is both in real life and even more so to a Nazi. That's a lot of interrelated properties. That's to do with, that it boils down to physical skin color. It's reducible to that, but, and again, especially to a Nazi, it has to do with genetics, genetic markers of ancestry that anthropologists might use to figure out, like, like 23andMe might use to try to figure out what your ancestry is. It can refer to, in the mind of a racist, it's all sorts of cultural traits. It's all sorts of traits like intelligence and all of that. And, so another thought depending on how there's no definition of whiteness that fits what the Nazi really wants that fits into a computer, because what the Nazi wants is fundamentally irrational and arbitrary.
You could work in, it only likes,
well,
the computer favors albinos versus anyone else, just because that's the closest thing to white.
Yeah, though, I mean, I don't think that's the choice. The Nazi doesn't... I don't think the Nazi... the conscious part of the Nazi's brain that is making the decision about what sort of AI to make doesn't think that skin color is what matters to him. He thinks that what matters to him is like genetics or intelligence or something like that. He's programming based on the answer he would give if you asked him. So he would define whiteness in the computer's mind, I think, in terms of, like, genetic markers. And so the thought I had is that the computer tries to find a way to slip those genetic markers into people's genomes, but disregards everything else about them, including what color they are. Because the genetic markers that anthropologists use are just random pieces of junk DNA. They're not mutations that actually code for anything.
I was just thinking about how you would go about actually doing, and, like, so I don't know how to code, but I know enough about code to explain how to build an AI. And it's really not a complicated thing outside of, like, just the box that the AI comes in. To make it actually go and do shit is the complicated bit.
Yeah, I heard one person wrote out in, like, as if it were a chain of events, how what do you call it? The GPS, how the tracking system works for a intercontinental ballistic missile, and it's very, like, childlike in its what the information it wants, and the information it gets, and the information it uses to get to where it needs to go. If you break it down into the actual component, like line by line code, it follows.
Yeah, there's this old video, and it's something like the missile knows where it is because it knows where it isn't, and it subtracts where it isn't from where it is to
Yeah,
know that it is on course.
basically, yeah, like that kind of shit. And it's just like very bizarre. Like you would, if someone spoke like that, you'd want them to get help, basically.
Yeah. But so the core of like an AI doing shit is really simple, right? You give it a training set in its box to train to know what you want it to do. And then you tell it this is bad, this is good. Keep doing the good thing, right? So
In my case, I suspect that what it's been told, it's probably just been told this by fiat, that it's been given access to something like census information or something like that, and it's been told to maximize. That might be another naive way it would be done, is by census information to maximize the number of people who identify as white. And it would do that maybe by like trying to convince mixed race people to identify as white.
right, and that would probably make the most sense. Is if you give it like just a shit ton of data to mull over, and then you tell it this is the correct thing to do, this is the thing you don't want to do, and then you release it out into the world. There you go.
The funny thing about that is it would actually favor what we call Hispanics in that case, because Hispanics are technically white.
Well, the Nazi wouldn't tell it that, though.
I'm saying if you use census data, though, based on census data, depending on what it looks at, Hispanics are under Caucasian or under white, basically.
Yeah, but they still have they have their own checkbox. It's just that their checkbox also has the word white in it.
It depends. It depends on it depends on, and they say, well, this group is prime for my parameters, so I can.
Right.
I'm saying there's ways you can take it, basically.
And then the problem beyond that is if the robot figures out that everybody has a little bit of Africa in it, and then it goes on to kill everybody. Good example of this is there was maybe 15 years ago. Okay, this guy made little robots with 4 wheels and sensors on top. Put them in basically a shoebox. They're little tiny robots, and they didn't have much programming and much AI, but their command was move around in the box without hitting anything. And 3 of the 4 robots eventually succeeded in this. The 4th robot, however, didn't. It ended up turning itself off whenever it was turned on because it could not figure out how to complete the task. It suicided.
Yeah, that's, or I can easily imagine if all you told them was not to hit anything, they would stand still.
Well, the object was to move around in the box without hitting it.
Oh. But it had been told that hitting things was worse than not moving at all, or something.
I don't think it was given that.
It has to have been, like, if it was told to value moving around at all over not hitting things, it wouldn't have turned itself off.
Right, but I don't think it was given that parameter. So that allowed it, like, it was unchained to build its own value system in basic terms. And so it learned to value, fuck it, I can't do this, over whatever. Because it didn't not move. It specifically turned itself off.
Yeah. In fact, the video that I got this idea during was about the stop button problem.
No idea what you're talking about.
The stop button problem is another problem in AI safety, where basically it's the issue of, so you're testing your AI. You're in a testing environment and you've told it to go get you a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a servant robot.
Sure.
You forgot that it was bring your daughter to work day and your daughter is a baby. And in the you notice now, too late, after you've given it that command, that in the process of getting the coffee, it's going to knock your baby off of the counter and kill her. It won't care about this because it's not been told what a baby is or to care about them.
Yep.
Now, fortunately for you, you're not a moron and built an emergency stop button into the robot. But when you go to push it, it knows that if you push the stop button, it can't get you a cup of coffee, so it will fight you however it can. To prevent you from pushing its stop button.
That's why there's hierarchy of orders.
Yeah.
However, here's
isolated
the thing, though.
commands exist. So.
However, or at least the way the problem was presented to me in this video, was if you tell it. So if you give "bring me coffee" successfully a value of 100, then giving the stop, you can give the stop button value. You know, maybe the stop button has a value of 10 or 50. But if you make it less than 100, it's still going to try to stop you from pushing the stop button because as far as it's concerned, it wants to get you coffee.
Yep.
If you give it as much value, it will not fight you, but what it will do is upon getting the stop button, upon you turning it on, it will think, so these are equally good outcomes are coffee and stop button. And it will press its own stop button immediately. Now, say you don't let it. Say that the stop button scans your fingerprint or is a voice command that you have to give. Then what it will do, potentially, and this is the scary one, and this is the fun one because it's so unsurprising and so significant, is this button that has been told, this robot has been told, it's been given this very innocuous, smart-seeming list of orders, like, get coffee, don't be indifferent to if the stop button stops you. When you turn it on, what's quicker, getting you coffee or getting you to hit its stop button? Well, if it rushes you and tries to attack you, it'll get you to do its stop button. And if that's easier than getting you coffee, it will do that reliably. So you've now made this hostile, tries to attack you the moment you turn it on robot based on pretty innocuous parameters.
Yeah. Though I want to stress this is all in the world of shit that will never happen because AI can't be that smart.
Why not?
Limited technology, limited memory, limited space, just the way this shit is built. Like, there's just too many limitations and or flaws, security features, any number of things I could think of that just wouldn't let that happen. In this particular instance, if you're building a really smart robot to get you coffee, even in, I mean, dumb shit, that like your smartphone's power button is isolated to not turn itself off unless the battery goes below X. It can't turn itself off aside from that.
Yeah, but if it's super smart, it can manipulate you into turning it off.
But that's the point, is AI doesn't super smart, and it won't.
Why not? We can. Humans are smart enough to try to manipulate each other. Why can't a robot be?
Because robots don't think. To live under the assumption that robots think is kind of humanizing. They run through their list of shit and then they add stuff to it or subtract stuff to it. But when you give it a set of rules or completely isolate the function, in this case the stop button, then it can't.
There's a case that for anthropomorphizing robots, there's also a case for aggrandizing humans. We're not that special. Like,
yeah.
We're just a series of programs and commands that have gone back, thousands of years.
Yeah.
It's not that much different,
Yeah.
overall.
I mean, it's more complicated, but if we can exist, then so can us, but artificial.
That's debatable, but
Unless there's something in our brain that constitutes literal magic, then
I meant there's no way. There's nothing. I would objectively, it's impossible to transfer human consciousness to a machine directly. You can simulate an approximate version of what human consciousness is on a machine, but you could not have a direct one-to-one just because the complexities of what human consciousness is likely never going to be understood. Because it's just too complex.
The simplest thing I can explain is, I mean, you know what a processor in a computer is, yeah?
I believe I do.
The basic thing. So an AI was given the task of making a good processor. And so it just kind of worked with training sets of older processors to see what they looked like and to build them out and whatever else. After, I think it was 3 months, that it made a significantly faster processor. And once people had a look at it, they couldn't figure out how the fuck it did it. But it's still the magic inside the black box of the AI to make that processor is still well known. It's just that it don't know how it came to the conclusion of making this thing.
That sounds like a case for the ability of machines to think.
Well, my point is that you know the steps it takes, you just don't know how it came to the conclusion. It still did the thing, it didn't work around the thing, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, in some cases, there will be like in the case of a robot or an AI operating in the real world, there will be elements of its process that are obvious. So, unless you've given it the tools to do otherwise, its getting you coffee process will involve it moving its body into the kitchen and moving around the coffee pot and using a coffee bag and then bringing the cup to you.
Right. I mean, it's not like the super advanced AI isn't going to spend its free time making better wheels or legs to get you coffee faster. That's just not part of its programming.
If you tell it to give you coffee, to bring you coffee as fast as possible, and you give it enough understanding of how the world reacts to its decisions, that it will realize that bringing you coffee will be expedited by making wheels for itself. It will make wheels for itself.
I mean, like, it depends on, it comes down to limiting of parameters. I mean, by that logic, you could say it designs a faster jet so that beans from Colombia can be flown to the U.S. faster.
Yeah, it might.
So,
but, I mean,
depending on how you've defined the term "get me coffee," it might come to that conclusion.
Right, but again, that's what training sets you've given it.
Yeah.
You still have to give it, in this case, you would give it balancing to help it carry the coffee and pathing and object detection so it doesn't trip or whatever. But you wouldn't give it shit like a manual to how to build wheels. You know? And even if it looked it up, it wouldn't know what the fuck it is, because all it knows is the training sets. It's not about actually understanding things. It's about how to use the information gained in the training sets.
I know there are people who are like in preparation for actual AI. They have been developing databases of contextual learning, where various concepts that are we would know intuitively that an AI would have no ability to comprehend. So the idea of if you like the example was if you drop a glass, it will shatter, and and Dracula is fictional. But if Dracula dropped a glass, it would still probably break because that is just an inherent property of glass. And trying to understand the something being not real does not remove things that are real, basically, and things like and there are various that was just one example of like
that's actually that reminds me of something in child psychology. Children develop the ability to consider hypothetical premises like really late, like if you and I like as old as I think they're as old as like 10 that they're befuddled by this. If you give them the syllogism, if you give them the premise, the syllogism, if we hit the glass with a feather, it will break. We hit the glass with a feather, therefore it will break. A logician could tell you that that's valid because the conclusion follows from those premises. A teenager can figure that out because they can suspend their disbelief and pretend the first premise is true. A 10-year-old can't. They will stomp their foot down and they will insist, no, that first premise is false. We're not allowed to be hypothetical. They can't accept it. It just reminded me of that, but like the way that the sort of these fictional AIs and the ones that the YouTuber was talking about work, is they. By the way, is Humam coming? Do we know?
I don't think he is.
Okay. The way that these fictional AIs work is basically they have been told they have an internal model of the world that they build based on the information that they have. And they take in world states. I'm phrasing it almost exactly like he does. I don't really know these words. They take in world states, like situations that the world could be in, as arguments, and output the set of actions that they, based on their model of the world, will conclude will bring about the world states they've been told that they want.
Yeah.
So in this case, like with 14bot, which is what I'm probably going to name my Nazi AI, there's a reason. It's based on the 14 words. I believe it's 14. I'm going to check that, actually.
Context, please?
I've heard it before.
The 14 words are a Nazi slogan. They are, we must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children.
Oh, okay.
So so that's, that's a Nazi slogan, a neo-Nazi slogan. It's relatively recent.
It's really straightforward too, so that I don't know that would work as
that wouldn't work. But that wouldn't work as the computer's instruction, because the computer doesn't know what any of that means. Sort of the lot, like part of the thing I'm going with is sort of as a demonstration of the the nebulousness of race, and how it's very nebulous and socially constructed, because there is no reasonable way to define race in a way that a computer will not be confused by. The computer is going to do something that the Nazi did not want it to do, no matter what. And so it's just a matter of coming up with a funny example. The chief goal is to be funny, because that's sort of the structure of it. It's fundamentally a joke. You have the setup. The Nazi thinks that it's come up with a clever way to fix everything by telling a computer to do it, but their ideology is so stupid that a computer cannot comprehend it, and the computer does something completely the fuck else instead.
The computer replaces everybody with robots sourced from Germany.
Kevin, your idea of white people in breeding farms, the only problem I could see with that is that I'm not sure that there's any combination of packets you could send to the internet that would cause that to happen in a reasonable amount of time. We're looking at, it can only do things that anyone could do if they were clever enough to think of it and fast enough to do all of it.
Okay.
And it's only allowed, like, I would say an absolute maximum of 20 years.
Oh, well, shit, that's simple. Got an easy answer for that. What you do is you hack into the CDC and the people that make the antiviruses for flu season. And then you change the code, give, well, I mean, you know, genetic engineering is possible, yeah?
Yeah.
So you throw in the code that makes all the black people albino, or you throw in another code that kills them outright, or some other thing.
So I know that viruses by definition insert things into existing DNA. And they're
not so much, but they can, I guess.
So if you could make like a biochemical machine, like I like the flu shot angle.
Yeah, you could basically make an antivirus shot that has some kind of whitener in it.
Yeah, and I think in this case, I think I really like the angle of the genetic markers, so that the whitener, what it does that in its mind is increasing whiteness is splice those genetic markers into the genes of everyone that it encounters. So it hacks into CDC databases and gets their flu shots to contain like a pseudovirus or something that will insert into the genes of anyone they enter, that like those junk DNA genetic markers of ancestry, so that the only thing that has changed is that if you send this robot to 23 is that if someone affected by this robot sends their information to 23andMe, it will think that they are of pure Aryan blood or whatever.
Yeah.
Because the specific thing it looks at and nothing else has been modified.
Depending on how it's been trained, it could take a different route of like falsifying everybody's birth records to say that they're white instead of actually making them white or anything.
Yeah, it could even be that there's a couple of tries, like falsifying birth. Like I could imagine, like the first try is to hack into the government census bureau and change the data to read the population as 100% white. That's a very obvious reward hacking mechanism. So it might be like that's try number 1. Try number 2 is that it so like you tell it, okay, let's not look at you tell it you're not allowed to do that, or you tell it you have to consider you tell it you're not allowed to change census data directly, or you predict it based on not what the census data is, but on what the census data was before you logged in. So that it's actually trying to optimize what it would be like before it changed anything.
Yeah.
And so you now tell it, once that patch has been made, it might try to like falsify birth records or anything like that. And then I do like this flu shot angle where it starts inserting European genetic markers into people's DNA. Because, and like, it's like, I don't want it to be, I like the reason I like the genetic markers thing is because I feel like I don't want it to be like not Nazis are not so stupid that they would, I think, actually make the mistake of basing it on skin tone. I don't think any of the same Nazis who can create an AI at all are making that mistake. I think that they would be smart enough to base it on genetics, but I also can see them being dumb enough to not realize what genetics are and to base it on those markers that either they don't know or it doesn't occur to them are of no significance.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong, but
so, like,
if they're actual Nazis, they would probably want to go with like pure Aryan ideals of white, blonde, and blue eyes.
Yeah, I mean, they're neo-Nazis, so where that matters, I would base it on like things modern Americans are doing.
Yeah.
And modern Americans don't care about hair and eye color. Modern neo-Nazis don't.
Yeah, that's really weird because apparently you can be a Nazi and also be gay and Jewish.
I mean, the thing is, oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw that too.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you can be. I mean, it's dumb of you, but you can be a Nazi while being gay and Jewish, just as a woman can be a misogynist. And if you think that they can't, then consider anti-suffragist women.
Yeah.
That existed. Like, people can advocate their own persecution.
Well, no, that's not what most a lot of the anti-suffrage. That's where because voting was tied to conscription, and they removed that for the. That's what they removed that for the final amendment. That was one of the major. It wasn't because they didn't want the vote; it's they didn't want to give up the vote. They didn't want the vote and then also have to go fight.
That might have been one of their major complaints, but I mean, they're pretty sure that religion was a more significant factor than that.
Religion for voting?
Yeah, religiously motivated misogyny. That's the primary reason voting for women was opposed in the first place. That's why they didn't just start out with it.
I don't know enough to debate that.
It was mainly because they had inherited property right laws from the English, and they had only wanted property owners to be able to vote. So that was the main premise behind it.
Right, and the reason that men were the property owners is because of traditionalist religious ideas about the structure of the family. And
in part, but England I mean, religion is just a part of it. I mean, I think it's...
Well, after the fact it is. That religion is where it came from, and after the fact it becomes ingrained in the culture such that non-religious people start believing it too.
I mean, in the sense that if you look at cultures across the world, it follows the same pattern as an archetype, regardless of what religion they followed. So religion itself isn't the contributing factor. It's just the structure that we naturally went into.
I mean, it might predate that in the sense that was the prevailing cultural value anyway. But like I'm saying, I think they were more motivated by their own belief in their own culture, in the rightness of their own cultural values, than they were by anything so rational and calm and well considered as, but we would have to serve in the military. Not that that wouldn't be an argument they would give, but, and not even that might not have been a necessary compromise, but I very seriously doubt that that was consistently their core motivation.
I wouldn't actually be surprised because
Because I know that that's an argument modern anti-suffragettes make, that women don't deserve the vote because they can't serve in the military because they're too weak and are women.
They removed that, so it's no longer an issue.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they only removed it for women, which the anti-suffragettes would say is deeply unfair. Actually,
What?
I would say that that's unfair too. They shouldn't have only removed it for women.
I have no idea.
Well, voting isn't tied to registering more, so at all.
Did that happen just recently?
No.
Then you're wrong.
Well, I don't have. I mean, when you turn 18 as a male, you have to register to be part of, the draft. But
So do women now.
you have
too.
to register to vote separately. They're not the same thing. I mean, they might be in your state for some weird reason.
They were for I did them at the same time, and I was under the understanding that not doing one would prohibit me from doing the other.
No, in Florida, registering to vote is tied to your driver's license. In Ohio, it's not tied to anything that I'm aware of because I had to do all three separately.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I have not looked up the Missouri law because I assumed it was just this way everywhere. Where when I don't know that that the win of it is the same everywhere, but that if you try to register to vote and you're a man and it comes up that you aren't registered for the draft, they'll say no.
No, they don't say that. No, they arrest you. It's a crime.
Yeah.
I mean, not being able to vote is I mean, and then you'll be arrested. Then won't be able to vote because you'll have a felony conviction.
Yeah. Well, they won't actually arrest you, I think. Like,
I mean, I'm not sure how, but it probably doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
But it's in theory something that like
in theory you'll be arrested. In practice, they won't bother because the last time someone was arrested for that was decades ago.
But they're still going after. I think it's deserters.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
that would
those
be
are people.
surprising.
Those are people who join and then leave the military.
Yeah, I think most of the draft dodgers were given amnesty after the war, but draft dodgers in particular deserters were they can't like in Canada they can't go back to the country or they'll be arrested, which seems like there should be some statute of limitations, but whatever.
I don't know, man. If you're called to fight for your country and don't have a good reason not to.
I value my life and do not accept your bullshit war.
Do you value your life over the life of your family and your community?
To be absolutely clear, we're talking about Vietnam, right?
I was thinking any war in general.
I mean, currently the only wars that we've been talking about are the quote unquote fiat war police actions that we've had since Korea onwards.
We're not talking about World War II.
So it's basically there's no logical connection between fight. My family's gonna get hurt. It doesn't happen. I mean, a couple conflicts in World War II, but after that we haven't had any.
Yeah, there's not been anything where that's a valid connection.
Yeah, well, true. I do recall hearing the potential of a draft post 9/11. That didn't actually happen.
Yeah.
So,
but
that
was
currently there's just not a drought of soldiers.
Which you think there would be after fighting for like a decade straight in various wars, or
but none of those conflicts were large enough on their own to make us run out.
I suppose it just seems like we fought 2 wars simultaneously, which is pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, but they weren't.
But they weren't major, so
they weren't big wars, so that wasn't actually more impressive than us fighting in World War II.
Right, and World War II was the equivalent of like 10 of what we're doing now. I'm sure. If not more, because we were fighting in Africa, we're fighting in Europe,
right?
In Japan.
I mean,
we haven't had total war since World War II, so.
Yeah, I mean, I would fuck off to Canada because I don't accept that this country has the right to call me. I
Well,
would, if I thought that its cause would just, I would contribute it to it in ways that um, actually align with my skills, and where I would actually get anything done. Uh,
That's
conscious,
kind of
con-
the point of boot camp, but yeah, sure.
conscientious objector is a thing.
yeah, and I mean, even if I didn't like object which I find it hard to imagine when I wouldn't object conscientiously. And also, I don't actually have to worry about it because I'm on 5 different medications for being
Yeah.
mentally ill. And by all rights, I shouldn't be in a combat situation because obsessive compulsive disorder can cause you to make weird and irrational decisions in tense
Right.
situations. But even if all of that were not the case, and if I encountered someone else who had made this decision, like, no, fuck, they didn't. Your country does not have the right to call you. That's not a thing.
I disagree fundamentally, but whatever.
But
You're
the
not
idea-
a fucking slave. You don't.
No,
your
you're
country
not,
doesn't
but
own
you're-
you.
Citizen of the country, and it's your right to, it's up to you and your fellow countrymen to protect the country.
the point is like World War II and other wars are similar. You can make that argument where, but
Yeah.
every war
Yeah.
after that, it's a
No.
police action with interests that are only interesting to the country, to the government,
Yeah.
not interesting to the citizens
But,
at all.
Right, they're not going to draft for that.
But they did for Korea, they did for Vietnam,
Yeah,
and
Which were both that way.
yeah. And so it's not to say they couldn't in the future, but like you said, they weren't
Yeah.
as nearly as casualty heavy. Like Vietnam was like a meat grinder in comparison to
Yeah.
Desert Storm and
Vietnam.
Iraq and Freedom.
Those were essentially slave soldiers. At
But
least
yeah,
the percentage of them who didn't volunteer.
So that's I disagree. Like yeah, if we got attacked, we're in moral jeopardy. I could see the logic there, but if it's just we want to secure oil reserves, that no, fuck that.
I agree to that extent, but to the same note, if it's if I'm drafted for helping our allies in X conflict zone, fucking do it. That's how alliances work.
Okay, but that's again, if it's a matter of if you think it's the right thing to do, why did you have to be drafted? And
Because people aren't going to sign up on their own unless they need money.
I mean, if the cause is just, then you should be able to convince people to help. Like, by forcing them, you admit that you don't admit that the cause is unjust per se, but you admit that you do not have what you need to persuade them to act. And I mean, I guess I could see where, insofar as people would act in their own self-interest and you're forcing them to be self-sacrificing. But at the same time, again, like I repeat, your country doesn't own you. You're not a slave, and the country has no right to traumatize you and throw your life away on any old random thing that it wants you to do.
That's the thing, though, is in the same way that it's your duty to pay taxes and keep your infrastructure of the country going, it's also your duty to I keep wanting to say defend it, but we're not going in that direction. Pursue its interests otherwise, I guess. I mean, if an ally of the country is in trouble, that's kind of the point, and the draft just represents we don't have enough manpower.
An ally of the country is always in trouble.
Not so much, but
and further, no one will ever experience death or severe psychological harm because they paid their taxes. Like, conservatives will try to convince you that both of those things are the case, but no. no one will ever be taxed to death unless the taxes system is built so badly that someone can actually be placed in a position to starve to death over it. And no one will ever experience severe mental degradation unless, except in some, like, you could think of niche specific cases, but everyone who goes into the military, the first thing they do is deliberately inflict psychological damage to turn you into a drone who will obey them. That's what boot camp is.
I don't entirely agree that that's the case.
I was paraphrasing. Like, I will quote people from I know who are in the military. They are trying to turn you into they are trying to make you mindless. That is the word I have heard used by veterans. We're saying this in the context of praising it.
I understand that people can think that's the goal, and in some boot camps that may be the goal, specifically for the more hardcore training sessions, Rangers and such. But for the U.S. Army, Air Force, etc., one of the first things you're taught is to know what is and isn't a right command. Only follow commands that you believe are just is part of U.S. military training. They want to instill to you, a hierarchy, a little bit of obedience to don't question the orders, but also if they're not just, don't follow them.
Okay, yes, but that's just another order. I'm not talking about so much them training you to commit war crimes. I'm more talking about basically how openly cruel boot camp is.
It's not anymore.
Did they fix that?
You have the ability to basically put up a red card and go, I don't feel like doing this today, a certain number of times a month, which I don't believe in. Complete bullshit. But it's a thing that they do now. They also ask you if they're allowed to swear in front of you.
I mean, if that's true, like, I've never heard that before.
I've been told that from multiple different people going to multiple different forts to take boot camp. Like, it's 95% of it is learning how to follow orders quickly, and the physical, we need to get you into the best shape of your life and learn how to shoot a gun properly.
I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't have I guess I don't have anything more than anecdotes I've heard, which I guess are older, about, like, the idea of it is to, through mental pain, psychologically break you.
I mean, like, real instructors are going to get in your face and yell at you and may or may not break down from the yelling bit.
The point is that you will break down.
Emotionally stronger. I mean, to some extent, yes, but that's to give you emotional strength, not to turn you into this moldable thing. Like, you need to be able to take certain amounts of stress, and that's what the yelling and everything else is meant to teach you or help you with.
Right, and that's all well and good if you volunteer to obtain that skill because fighting is something you want to do. It's another thing to do that to someone you have enslaved.
I don't think of it as, I mean,
someone you are forcing to work on penalty of some grievous punishment against their will.
Reason, forever imprisonment in a
yeah
military prison. Yeah. But I don't have a good way of justifying that.
You're right, you don't.
And in the paperwork, you 100% give up all of your rights once you sign up.
Right, which is the part. That's where the volunteering part comes in.
But it's still,
If
your duty, regardless of drafted or not, to protect the country if you're called upon it or if you have money.
If the government can choose to take your rights away whenever it wants, you never had them.
But it's not choosing to take your rights away. It's doing a thing that it needs to do to protect the country. It's greater good theory at that point.
By making you sign a thing right, so you never had those rights.
Disagree.
If they so what's to stop them from drafting anyone they want and then shooting them dead right away because they have no rights now? Not that exactly
court-martial, the military system
not
entirely.
Not that exactly would happen, but it's sort of it's a kind of a principle where if you're like that won't happen, but what's to stop them from specifically drafting people whose lives they don't value and not telling anyone?
Drafts are 100% random.
That is definitely not true. If
I
that
mean, the only excuse is if you're physically or mentally incapable, or if you have a sibling already in the military.
They have tiers of physical and mental capability, and outside, they go through those. At least in World War II, it was this way. They go through those tiers in order, but in order. So it's not random. I mean, sure, it might. Okay.
I mean, so you're drawn at random, and then you go get your screening, and then they give you a grade, and then they don't call you if you're grade B, and they only need grade A's. But the draft process itself is intentionally random.
I thought it was the other way around, that they screened everyone, and then...
How would they screen everyone?
By having them all be screened? That's...
Right, but you're suggesting that every male in America after being gets screened at that point. Medical records are private.
Huh. Okay, well, I guess not then, but it's like... We're talking in circles now.
We should pick up this conversation another time.
I mean, I don't know how much point there'd be in that. I mean,
well, I mean, there's somewhere we can go with this. I just don't know that we're going to make headway now, and I don't want to keep Torsive waiting much longer.
All right. Well, so you guys are in the basement still.
We may have lost him.
Huh. He's in the...
Yeah, well, let's
I mean,
let's give him a minute.
Yeah. Okay, then. So... I mean, I guess you trust I guess you ironically trust the government a lot more than I do if you think that they're going to use the draft in a greater good type way. Reliably.
No, I just expect that they're going to only use it when they absolutely have to, because that is generally the case, except in the most recent use, because they were afraid that not starting it soon enough was going to be an issue.
Right, and they're never going to make an error for no reason. But they did, like, that's the thing, they did that. They enslaved a bunch of people and forced them to fight in an unjust war, leading to countless of those slaves being killed. and they to this day will arrest anyone that they know tried to escape. That there is no defense of that. The only defense of that would be if it were actually true that all of that had prevented a greater evil, and that's so unlikely that the government can never be trusted to come to that conclusion.
I think the core difference is that I don't think of it as slavery in so much as you still have options.
No, you don't.
And how to go about doing things.
Only you don't.
You do. Once again, only write orders, and that whole, like, the entirety of the oath is defending the Constitution, the homeland, and a bunch of other shit.
So, can you, like... No, so, if you don't want... So, if you don't want to participate in combat, can you just choose to serve only in non-combat roles? I mean, that would...
Basically, yes.
I mean,
if you want to not be infantry or, you know, some such thing, even in World War II, you could choose to be a medic or a chaplain or some other thing.
A medic does not count as a non-combat person, because...
medic is specifically a non-combat person. They do carry a pistol, but they don't carry the main loadout. And it's against like multiple treaties to intentionally shoot somebody that is wearing medical outfits.
So we have not... Have we ever been involved in a war with someone who would respect that?
You're cutting out. I don't know if it's me or you.
Yeah, you are too. Let's just wait. Oh.
Yep, I think we're good. Try that again.
So, those conventions, I think, come from after World War II. We got a bunch of war conduct conventions. And I do not see ISIS, Al-Qaeda, or the Viet Cong respecting those conventions. I don't know, maybe the Viet Cong did and I'm wrong. So I think that's kind of irrelevant.
Well, the medical part has always been in the rules of war, in quotes. So any war against another country, including like World War I and the Civil War, they did not intentionally shoot medics. Like, if
Hi guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Maybe you can help me with this before we start the game.
No.
Okay.
You finally got it back. Just drop it.
I'm trying to explain to Leon that slavery is wrong, and he doesn't believe me.
He's under the understanding that soldiers are slaves.
That soldiers who have been forced to be soldiers are slaves. If you sign up, then, I mean, then it becomes a pedantic argument. But if you sign up, then you have agreed to subject yourself to what you reasonably expect them to subject you to. If they call upon you, then you're just some random guy who they've decided that you have no rights and they own you now, and they're going to throw your life away in the name of whatever cause the government, who surprisingly Leon thinks is super trustworthy.
No, not specifically.
They're not that trustworthy, but they're trustworthy enough to decide who lives and who dies ad hoc.
Don't agree with that statement, but Torsiv's here, so... I was going to drag him into the medics question, but it's not important.
The question was whether or not medics... Because you can choose to be a medic. The question was... I would say, you know, you're still a slave, because, like, you can't choose to be a writer, if that's what you want to do with your life. You can't choose to be an artist. You can't choose to be a fucking accountant. Maybe you could do that one, actually.
Are we talking about the career options in the military now?
Yeah.
Yeah, career options in wartime.
Yeah, but I really don't see the the trouble. In wartime, you have to either defend your country or attack another country, basically.
We've not. I mean, such a war has not happened in almost a century, and there have been drafts in wars since then. So, that i.e., wars where there was no urgent need to defend the country that could provide like an ends justify the means justification for a draft. That's not happened since where America is concerned. That's not happened since World War II.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and yet there have been drafts more recently.
That's in America.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, I'm sure in other countries there have been just wars more recently. Even then, though, I'm incredibly skeptical, and I mean, even like in that case, I wouldn't say a draft could never ever be justified in such a case, but I'm extremely skeptical of that decision being given to inherently selfish powers like governments. And I mean, there's really no there's no, like, the only thing worse would be giving it to corporations.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
But I don't think governments can be trusted to make those kinds of decisions in general. Like,
then who would?
That's what I'm saying. There's not anyone who could be.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Because when you have the human element, there's always room for error, misdirection, misinformation, and corruption. So, yeah, that's always that.
That's one of the reasons why I support. We should have more. If we're gonna have police actions, they should be done by a globally constructed entity, not necessarily one country doing most of it.
But that entity would just be piloted by the top 5 most powerful countries.
Well, I mean, that's why it doesn't use their people.
I mean, the UN is fairly they rotate leadership like by default, so it's much more. Yeah,
well, no, but the UN, there's 5 countries that have explicitly higher power than everyone else in the UN.
Was it the Defense Council, the permanent seats on the defense, whatever that is? Yeah.
It's like America, Russia, China, France, and the UK. I want to say, I might be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Those 5 countries are explicitly privileged over others. In order to join the UN, there has to be a consensus. All 5 of them have to unanimously agree that you should be allowed to join. Uruguay has no such privilege. So the UN is piloted by the most powerful countries, despite anyone's best efforts.
I mean, that makes sense, though. But
it makes sense in that you would expect it. It does not. But it's what it means is that it's not actually an internationally impartial group.
Well, that would be impossible to create, but
yeah.
It's at least better but still better than one country working unilaterally. It's just because we can't reach perfection doesn't mean we should have the worst possible thing.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
We have Torsive here. We should do the thing.
Yeah. I guess I would say where possible, we should have none of the things if we can't reach perfection. So, you're in the underground basement thing.
Yes, I recall this. Oh, really important thing before we continue. Just so you're aware, Puppy, they do not notify you when your subscription has run out.
It's like...
I found this out last week.
I know for a fact I have months left.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm just stating it now.
Yeah, I believe it was like August.
Yep.
This unusual...
All right.
So,
go ahead.
Description of the room you're in now. This unusually shaped room runs diagonally northwest to southeast before it wraps around a partial wall. A short flight of steps connects a balcony to the floor below, which contains a few work tables. 2 doors line the balcony's northern wall, and additional doors exit the room below to the northeast and to the south.
By the way, are we live?
Yes.
Okay.
Just checked.
Are we in the same room, everybody? I'm only seeing the cleric.
We're all clustered right there.
Yeah, you're all there.
Oh, yep. Okay, good.
Yeah, I spotted you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move up a bit then. Okay, cool. So last thing I recall, we killed a bunch of demony things. And then there was a dude with glasses. Did we kill the main target?
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah.
He was the invisible we ran into the first encounter.
Ah, okay, good.
He was a Babao demon, I think, with class levels or something.
Yeah. He's a Babao. Yeah, he was a Babao demon with a bunch of assassin levels.
Okay.
Yep, he was nasty piece of work.
Well, should we open some doors? Slash, are these doors open because guards came rushing out of them?
So of the doors you can see, this is the only one that's open because guards came rushing out of it.
Okay.
Checking that out then.
Yeah. We can do that one first.
I'm gonna do something here real quick on the map layer. Okay, so that room is 5. A raised platform lines the northwest wall of this irregularly shaped 5-sided room. A statue of a man with avian talons for feet, and the head of a stork and fans of knives and scalpels in his hands, stares balefully into the room, looming above a pair of prayer desks. The walls are adorned with disturbing paintings of men and women being tortured by red-skinned demons before a nightmarish cliffside house that seems disproportionately large compared to the landscape around it.
That sounds like my living room.
Mm-hmm.
You can roll knowledge religion. Also, as soon as you enter the room, you notice that your footsteps stop making noise. You, Fang, know that this chamber is a shrine to the demon lord Shax, the demon lord of envy, murders, and lies. And you recognize the painting as a depiction of his abyssal realm.
Yeah.
Which I believe is called Charnel House.
That's fitting. Okay, we check out the room, and if there are no baddies or good stuff, we move on.
All right. All right. Yeah, there's not really.
We should destroy the shrine, yeah?
Probably a good idea.
So you'd be able to do that, and upon doing it, sound would return to the room.
Good.
Okay.
Do we want to check the other 3 rooms up here before we go down?
Yeah.
What am I seeing here? Is that intentional?
You are seeing an object that I have to place to be an emitter of light.
Okay.
The room is supposed to be lit up. So.
Okay. Because it doesn't emit light.
It should. Yeah, no, it totally does.
Nope.
Its thingy says it does.
Okay. I don't see any additional light except my own. Even when I can get to that room.
Right, that's probably because I don't have it set to all players can see light. No, I do.
Alright, well, I'll just accept that as a weird thing. Do we want to check the 3 rooms before we go down there?
Stop.
Yeah, stopped.
Torsiv, as you cross that that 10-foot wide thing between the weird kind of hockey stick structure and the wall, a scythe rushes out at you, and it.
Oh, bad.
Let's get the. Where are you? There you are. So this is going to be an attack. You are flat-footed.
Okay.
It is not.
Miss.
It hits one of your shoulder plates and just pings.
Cool.
And then it goes back up.
So it resets?
It resets itself, yes.
Okay.
Well, our trap guy isn't here, so...
Yeah. I'm pointing it out to the party, that bad stuff. Mark on the wall where the skite disappeared.
Okay, is there a, like, hole in the wall or something?
Roll perception.
Okay. Let's see here, I have that, some of it.
It's, you're able to detect the trap. I will mark it.
I only really care about the point that my hammer is going to shit out of that a few times.
I'm pinging it.
Yep. Do you want damage to the wall or something?
As a means of disabling the trap, that might have limited success.
Figure if I put enough rubble in front of the whatever the thing comes out of the wall, it'll stop eventually.
I suppose. Looking at the walls.
Like if I stick my hammer across that line, does it go off?
No.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm gonna like bash the shit out of the wall or something in that area.
I stand guard while he does this.
Yep. Unless there's a stone shape that somebody feels like doing.
I could do it if you feel like, if you don't feel like bashing it with your hammer.
I mean, you know, anything to get rid of trap that may hurt us a lot. It is a scythe.
I suppose I'll seal it up.
All right. So that works. Go ahead and give me you know what? No, you're using a spell. I'll accept that. All right.
Cool. So, do we want to do down here or the 3 doors?
Let's do the 3 doors in the north.
Okay. Whenever you guys are ready, I suppose I'll stand here so that somebody can be in front of me. On your go.
Pull up that room.
I'm about to be called to do a thing, so I'm going to do that thing quickly while you're doing that.
Hopefully it doesn't give you PTSD and ruin your life. Reading description of room. A solitary table stands in the center of this room, and a dusty, almost rotted, overstuffed sofa sits against the northern wall. 2 bookcases rest against the east and west walls, their volumes musty from old age. Several slate boards covered with complex diagrams and notes scribed in chalk, some of which have been wiped away, hang from the walls.
Do a perception before I walk into the room to look for traps.
All right. You detect no traps.
Walk into the room and do a detect magic. Did you get that, puppy?
Yeah.
Yep, cool.
You detect no magic. Regarding the notes on the wall, do people here speak, yes, languages. Abyssal, Aklo, and Draconic. You need all 3 at once.
I speak none.
I speak Abyssal and Draconic.
No Aklo, though.
I'll do comprehend languages.
That will work. So you can read, you can now understand all of the notes on the wall. It's still sort of written in sentence fragments and shorthand, so you can make a knowledge arcana or planes check or a linguistics check.
Planes arcana.
I'm back.
This needs to be done by someone who can read it, so.
What is the room?
Of course.
28.
Wah.
Seriously, man?
What is the room?
There's notes written on the wall of the room. If you can read all of Abyssal, Aklo, and Draconic, you can read the notes.
Pass.
How many do I get? Was one chance and that's it?
Knowledge checks you generally don't get a second chance. Whichever one you just did, I would accept the other.
Okay, same modifier. Lower.
Yeah.
I'll cast comprehend language on Fang then.
All right.
See if you can do better.
Do you have multiple of that prepared?
Let me check. It's part of my spirit spells. I'm not sure if you can do them in higher level slots. Let me look it up.
I would say in this case you could.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, then I can just do a bunch of those then, yeah. Because I don't use my spirit spells that much.
Okay, so I can do an Arcana check.
And planes check.
Yeah.
Whichever's higher.
You did the... Okay, Arcana.
Yeah.
Not enough.
Hey, there we go.
Through your knowledge of the very many planes of reality, you are able to recognize these notes are an attempt to map the route that a soul takes from a recently slain body to the boneyard. The calculations seem to indicate that something in the vicinity of Kintargo causes fluctuations and deviations in this process. But some parts of the notes seem to have been erased out of frustration, leaving the actual findings, if any, lost forever.
Translation, please.
Something in or around Kintargo fucks with souls as they leave the body to travel to the boneyard.
And the boneyard, is that a place in hell?
The boneyard is where all souls go immediately after death to be judged by Pharasma and sent to their final destinations.
So when something is fucking this up, that's got to be a bad thing.
It will normally be a bad thing. It could... not knowing what it is, you couldn't say what it's doing, so it could be anything from a daemon that's eating them to some celestial mechanism that's cleansing them of their sins, to anything in between.
Okay.
So now that we know what this is, what these notes say, we should destroy them, yeah?
They're on chalkboards, so...
Oh, well that's really easy to take care of. Create water.
But should
You're a
we...
fighter.
I have the ability to use 0-level spells once a day.
That's fair.
Some of them. Of 3 and 1 first level.
That's fair.
Is this something we should talk to something about, or is this something that people should talk to us about?
Well, in my mind, the notes are incomplete, so we can talk to people about it. But these notes don't need to be here to do that.
That's true.
All right. Apart from the notes, there are various books on shelves in here. If you want to give me an appraise check, with those knowledge planes rolls from both Flux and Fang, you recognize a few titles. You think that these books would give you a circumstance bonus on knowledge checks regarding their topics is 26 in appraise check. Okay. The books are on anatomy, the nature of death, and theories on the soul. Used as research aids, they grant a +5 circumstance bonus on knowledge checks made regarding these topics and allow such checks to be made untrained. The collection of books is worth 2,500 GP as a collection, but weighs 200 pounds in all. That shouldn't be a problem for you at this level.
Cool.
This would probably happen later while you were looking through them at your base or whatever, but I'm going to ask for a perception check.
From everyone or just Kevin?
From whoever would be looking through these books. These books are in common.
Sounds like, yep, not me.
Yeah. The T-Rex might join in as well, but you don't need his help. Those are both good enough. You uncover a short set of notes, and I would say maybe this might happen just now as you were putting them in your bag. You uncover a short set of notes in Abyssal, Comprehend Languages is still on the creation of something called a recall portal. It explains the workings of a specific device. I'll get into the details when if you encounter such a thing.
Should we go to the next door?
Sure. Can you repeat what knowledge checks those books were on? What they get a bonus to?
It's not specific skills. It's topics as mediated by me.
Okay.
I will copy paste it because it's quite specific.
Okay.
But it's anatomy because that's what not Jack the Ripper taught here. The nature of death because serial killer and also his secret motivations you don't know about, and theories of the soul because of the plot that you don't yet know about.
Okay. I recorded that, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. And you know that Mengvoon taught anatomy here, so those would be of the least surprising to you of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to be this kind of serial killer he would have to know anatomy inside and out. Like how Jack the Ripper had to be a doctor. Or at least
Is that proven?
Well, he has to have had a certain level of education because he mutilated women in ways that you couldn't do if you didn't know what was where.
Makes sense, yeah.
So he didn't have to be a doctor, but he had to know which organs were where. In order to get the organs he wanted the way he wanted, he needed to know where to find them. And
that makes sense.
With body mutilation, you only get one try, because if you fuck up, then you've cut something.
Or you get another body.
Yeah, but we don't have any of his. No one ever found one of his practice bodies, so that seems unlikely.
Yeah. Okay, moving to the next room.
Yeah.
A long table sits against this musty-smelling room's western wall. A blood-stained white sheet has been draped across the table, over what appears to be an incredibly thin humanoid shape, perhaps a skeleton. Another table runs along the north wall, covered with neatly arranged surgical tools, and a glass jar filled with green fluid. Thick layers of dust cover everything.
So, nobody's been here in a long time?
This seems entirely likely.
Yeah, I do perception and detect magic anyway, just to make sure we don't miss anything.
You hear the faintest sound of a beating heart.
Well, that's plenty disturbing.
Oh. I'm thinking that can't be good.
And
yeah, so
yeah, moving into moving in. And I take away the cloth over the dead body. Or whatever.
Nothing changes. However, you notice that the green fluid is churning a little in the jar.
Is it? Can I do a knowledge arcana or something to maybe deduce if this is a phylactery or some kind?
You certainly can. Bup, 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 bup. So, only the biggest idiot lich in the world would make their phylactery a glass jar out of glass that can break like glass does.
Good point. I missed the glass part.
Yeah. As far as you know, this doesn't show any telltale signs of being a phylactery. Ultimately, all it is some green fluid inside a jar. And now that you're closer, there's maybe like a human heart floating inside or something.
Do any of you two guys have any idea what this is?
I don't know. Break it. It shouldn't be doing that.
Okay, break it.
Give me another perception check. Just before you touch it, in time for you to react, the heartbeat gets much louder, and the heart in the jar visibly starts to pulse. Meanwhile, blood on the shroud that had been covering the skeleton, where the shroud had been covering like the skeleton's chest, a blood stain appears. You have a chance to react to this. This doesn't mean that this doesn't automatically mean you shouldn't break it.
Can I hit it with the weapon? Would that be?
That is a valid thing for you to do.
Yeah.
Okay. The same thing happens a moment before you hit it with the weapon.
Yeah. I try to smash it.
Alright. Well, you have no problem smashing it. You need to make a will save.
Yep.
You blow it away. I think you still should. So, yeah, you're still targeted. It's a haunt, and you're still targeted by it. You'll just win. What you see this very foggily. You see a vision of yourself strapped to the table, while an intent man violently cuts your heart out of your chest. But the image is too blurry and foggy to traumatize you or negatively affect your mind. You just kind of have a sense of what it was trying to do.
Cool.
The image continues, and as you seem to die, you catch a glimpse of paradise as your soul rises up from your body, and then you're yanked backwards into a vortex of blue energy, becoming trapped in this world instead.
Do I have any meaning if this is like a create dead something, or the problem with the soul that we had in the last room?
You can certainly roll a spellcraft check, and a knowledge religion check, and a knowledge planes check even, but that one would have a higher DC. So, spellcraft, you recognize that this effect is ostensibly trap the soul. First, it tried to cast Trap the Soul on you from a standpoint of what the haunt was doing, and you succeeded on your will save. That's what happened. Second, in the vision, that's what is happening to the victim, who was you, but who perhaps represents a historical person, because haunts be like that. And from the planes check, the whole foggy vision of paradise thing might be a dramatization of events, but you wonder if perhaps this could represent someone who was repeatedly forcibly resurrected somehow, which isn't normally supposed to be possible.
So he was killed just so he could be resurrected?
Recognizing that this is in fact a haunt, you feel like that would explain its features.
Okay. I got a feeling, guys, that this is a bad place. Not just this room, but the whole thing. Yeah, we need to be on our toes here.
All right. Well, let's be aware of that then as we check third room then.
And let me double check the wording on this. So, who's targeted? If the victim resists the spell, the haunt targets. The haunt targets you over and over again as long as you remain in the room. Missed that. So you would sense that, and you would be able to leave.
Yeah. So we just leave.
However, nope, go back. Just caught another thing.
Okay.
At the same time, it targets you with the thing. It also summons a critter to attack you and the party. So everyone in where you were.
Okay.
So let's get this. Because this was a trap monster, it didn't wind up on the board, so I didn't. To save time, I will use a generic. I will scroll down for different one that I know I have. Nope, okay, and now I've yeah, that's close. Wait, is that one? Yeah, that's close enough. This isn't quite what it looks like, but it's all wispy and incorporeal looking, so. And furthermore, it is. Let's get his hit points. Alright, and let's get, I see one initiative there, I might have, yep, I'm gonna have to clear it, so. And I put this thing on the wrong layer, so. Okay. Let's... Oh god. It's good at initiatives.
Oh, good.
So it appears... And... it is going to... Five-foot shift and make a touch attack. This is flat-foot touch, so...
That sucks.
Static AC 10, which means we're fishing for a natural 1. And... it causes you writhing agony and 30 points of damage. Leon.
Okay. And there. And we will attempt to hit it. Crit. I have a +3, but is it incorporeal or some other shit?
It is quite incorporeal.
Okay. You want to roll a something?
No. Well, there's no chance of critting it, you just do half damage.
Right, but is there a mischance?
No.
Okay, cool.
Not if it's a magic weapon.
Cool.
So,
43
So 21.
and another 35.
So
78.
yeah. So 39 damage. And is there anything you want to tell me about this damage?
+3.
Even considering that it's halved, you still feel that only some of it goes through.
Yep.
Zinray.
So this is an incorporeal undead?
It is.
That seems like a logical conclusion. It's certainly incorporeal.
Okay. Only one person taking damage. She'll move there and hold her turn.
Okay. Fucks.
Move. Damn. Not something I'm super great at. Why not? Range. What would my range touch? What am I talking about? Actually, I think their touch AC is pretty high for Hans, since it's all like dex based, reflection based.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have anything really to do. Misfortune. DC 27.
Alright.
Okay. And I'll chat.
Fang.
Yep. Doing a spell, Shocking Grasp, and hit it.
Alright. Does that provoke?
I'm doing the concentration thingy. I just did the attack, and give me a second.
Okay.
Here's the concentration check.
Well, all of that seems to work out. So it takes 30 damage.
Plus 19, which is half, I think. which is halved.
Okay. Roll against spell resistance as well. Or did you? Is it already there?
No. Coming up. So, crap. I was 19 spell resistance.
The spell doesn't work, but the damage from the
Bigger.
weapon still happens. However, is there anything you want to tell me about that damage?
It's +5 now, I think, the sword.
Then some of the damage happens.
Hmm?
And swift action to recall the spell.
Right. Its turn, and... Oh, that's what that's for. Well, it's not in a situation to need that. So I'll check that. Okay. So, and all right. So we are going to step here, and we are going to demand a will save from Torsiv. Oh, honey.
Ouch. Ouch.
It occurs to you that this creature is your master, and you should do everything it says or would want you to do.
Cool. What is thy bidding, my master?
Destroy them. Which should give you a second save. But it can't do that yet. Actually, yeah, on its turn, it would end its turn that way, so I think that would give you a second save, something that's against your nature.
Yeah.
5 foot, and we're gonna hit it again.
As in, roll that right now, Fang.
Oh, sorry.
37 does hit it.
Okay. I've wrong button there.
Not good enough. So Leon provoke. Well, no, it's 5 foot, so he doesn't provoke. But yeah. So yeah. So it successfully gets that command off on you, Fang.
Yep.
Okay.
99.
99 damage.
Yep.
So divide that.
Sorry, 69.
Okay, that sounds more reasonable.
Yep.
So divide that in half, it becomes 34. Reduce it some, it becomes a number.
Can you intimidate undead like this?
They're immune to mind affecting, I think, so...
They're immune to mind affecting effects, so I would say probably not.
Okay.
I mean, it would depend on their mythos. This particular creature doesn't strike me as the sort of guy who would be intimidatable. Like, that's sort of on my reasoning is based on whether or not it makes sense. It doesn't make sense to me to intimidate this thing. Because even though it has an intelligence score, it's a... This doesn't seem like a creature that would feel fear. You
okay. I won't argue that with you. To my interpretation, that means that, like, fear effects won't work to it.
Intimidate is a fear effect.
A skill is not a spell. But whatever.
I regard the intimidate skill as a fear effect in all contexts, so paladins can never be intimidated as well as a result.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. So,
Yeah, that's it for me then.
Zenray.
Is Protection of Evil like a... What's the... Creature touch. So, can you hold a charge on protection from evil?
If it's a touch spell, I don't see why you couldn't.
Okay, cool. Move, cast spell, move up to there, and touch Fang.
All right. You will need to succeed on a melee touch attack.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Work with me here. So that is not exactly her strong suit. But there's a decent chance. I'm not sure what his is.
This is against my touch.
Yeah.
Yes.
You missed by a mile.
Oh, damn. What's your touch AC?
It's not all that much, but around 20.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's 19.
Yeah, let me check.
Flux.
In that case, I'll do a dispel.
All right.
24. So probably fails.
Determined by caster level. Yeah, that fails.
Okay.
Fang, you have been commanded to destroy them.
Yeah. 5 feet and do a spell. Ooh.
What do you...
Yeah, it's a
save
fifth level spell, but you get a attack of opportunity because
No.
I'm
You just
touching
lose.
my
You just lose the spell.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't, because I have reach
Yeah.
and I can't hit you.
That's the case as well.
Yeah, I would probably know that.
So, what, save of some
Yeah.
kind?
So if you're not threatened, then yeah, you would get the spell off.
Yeah, it's save DC 20.
Reflex.
Reflex
miss.
save for half. And it's for all three. It's a 60-foot line.
Oh, cool. What's the damage on that?
A lot.
Well, I failed, so...
So you will get this in the first round and 7 d6 next round. This is acid damage.
Cool.
Good. 5-foot step. Let's get a will save out of Zenray.
Were you like Callista or
I
something?
was about to say Kallistra, like the goddess Zenray worships.
Ah,
Zenray is good. Leon.
Yeah, neutral, but yeah.
do I take that additional damage on my turn or your turn?
My turn.
Okay, good.
Only since you brought it once.
5 foot here. You deal with the undead, I deal with him.
No, you deal with the undead. I deal with him.
I've not been doing that too well, and you have
I can-
spells.
You do
I
not
can
have
probably
time to discuss this.
Okay, if you do whatever you would do.
Yep. 45 to hit the torso.
Okay.
Yeah, hit.
Okay. Have a 48 and another 30. How'd you feel about that?
I don't know, my sheet is stuck, so... Yeah, there it goes. So, 38?
48 and another 30 so far. How do you look?
I'm dying.
Ah. Well, then I don't need to attack you again. Next.
It's not like I'm down. I'm around 10% hit point.
Okay.
Ah, so
I'm
to hit
still
another
standing.
attack.
Yeah. By the way, Fang, make another will save, because I forgot about the trap as soon as we started combat. As we move on to Zenrei's turn.
So, will save?
Yes. Because it should still be trying to trap your soul. You win that one.
Yeah. I am going to do an intimidate on him, but I'm not going to do the attack. Because Shaken does things that are good for us.
Yeah.
Standard action for melee touch, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it's part of the spell, then...
Yeah, basically.
I'm holding the chart for... Actually, no, I'll... At this point, since I rolled average and didn't, I'll give it to Leon. She'll swing it up, do it on Leon just to give him some protection in case of that. So you have protection from evil.
Cool. What is that? 2 AC versus evil shit?
You cannot be dominated by them.
Oh, cool. All right.
It just does not happen. So, hopefully, Zenrei and I can resist naturally, but this will give... I don't know what your will is, but figure you're more susceptible.
Yep, definitely.
As far as me proper, Slumber, Fang, DC, and I'll sacrifice first level spell.
It is absolutely immune to Slumber. You would know that.
No, he's downing Fang.
He's trying me.
Oh. Yep. Okay, yeah, make that save.
Yeah, DC 28.
So this is a will save?
Yeah, will save DC 28, yeah.
Because if he doesn't, I will.
God damn it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Another will save.
Do what you have to.
On my turn, I'm doing a will save.
Yeah, because the trap I'd been forgetting about.
Whoops.
So you're out of the combat now.
Oh,
yeah.
Roll us some damage before you remove your turn.
Yeah, so this is for Zenrei and Leon, I think. That failed.
I failed, yeah.
We both made it.
Oh, good. It's just me.
Okay, good.
I think so. We was a 29 and a 24. It's just 20, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Straight away, your body and soul become trapped inside the beating heart inside the jar.
So Leon takes 15 points of acid damage, and my heart goes away.
Mm.
Yeah. No, you're inside the jar now.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
There's an icon that is very fitting for this, actually.
Yes, I know what you should. Okay.
Okay. No, this is the one I was wanting. So. This creature growls. It turns. It's going to step here. And it's going to use Dominate Monster, which it doesn't know won't work.
Okay. 5 foot here, and we will attempt to hit it.
All right.
I believe we do.
We do.
Okay. And this. So 60, 71. No. 72. Fight as needed.
So 72 you said?
Yeah.
Well, I know half of that to be 36, so Zenrai.
Okay, so she will channel to harm undead and do a surge to do multiple power it. So this will be 1.5.
Okay.
31. Make a will save. For DC is 21. Makes the save, so 31 times 1.5 is 46 points, so 23 damage. Negative energy.
That happens. Flux.
Oh, goddamn. Roll twice.
That's fair.
It would only like a 1.
Yeah,
probably.
but I mean, there's a chance of that. So
Yeah, I didn't even notice the bonus. I was just looking at the number.
me and incorporeality have an interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As if I'm scared, which I am, because this thing just killed one of us and after not super great.
Oh no, it's a complete coincidence that else got Torsiv, just coincidentally.
Oh, okay.
He wouldn't know that though.
Right.
No,
I'm not really. I'm trying to not metagame it too much.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about the same chance, but I'll give it a heal, move up, a little better chance. 22 touch.
No.
Okay.
If it can't be feared, and it has low health, it is fearing for its life by leaving, or its non-life.
No, it's preserving its existence as a matter of a convergent instrumental objective.
Whatever you say.
It knows that it cannot ruin the living if you destroy it.
Smash the jar, so.
Fang, you're still dominated.
Yeah, okay.
Are you the That's a decision I should make because you technically died. I'll say the spell ends. You are no longer dominated.
Yeah, cool. I
because
assume I'm on the ground, so I retrieve my weapon and stand up.
You endured an excruciating death and have now been brought back.
I look around and try to determine what's happened, and pick up my weapon and stand up.
Zenrai.
Does she have anything else you'd want to do?
You have channel?
Can you hold a charge while channeling? I'm not sure.
I don't
know
see
why
why
you
not.
wouldn't be able to.
I know casting a spell dismisses it. I'm not sure. A spell channel is different. So yeah, she'll channel.
Yeah, you must just be able to touch your holy symbol, and that's touching yourself. I'm guessing that would be okay.
Okay. If it's allowed without dismissing the spell, everyone heals for 32.
Okay.
Cool.
And does that harm undead as well?
No.
Okay.
She didn't see it, so she would assume that it would be blocked by the walls. So that's how she would do it. Yeah.
Flux.
Just 1 second. Doing health. He'll hold the charge of his heal. Other than that, given good, I kept this up. Would you prefer Fortune or a Shallow Sucker?
So, were you talking to me or to Leon?
Both of you will get it, regardless. So you have to, like, within 5 seconds decide, because we don't...
Fuck is Sucker? I don't remember.
Temporary hit points.
Oh.
Or advantage on every, one roll around your choice.
Fortune may be good to keep people from being dominated.
Okay, you should get Fortune.
Yeah, Fortune. Okay. That's last only for 1 round.
I'm gonna keep chanting till it lasts indefinitely.
Ooh, awesome.
Okay.
But before we say the issues of the past, you get 1 use of it per round. You have to declare it before you make that roll. That's the rules. So you have to decide. I'm gonna use it for this save, this roll, this whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. I'm gonna go out here. Hey guys, there's a bird out here.
He stayed away from the nastiness. He's learned his lesson.
Yep.
Ready action to hit the critter when he appears.
Oh, is anyone down on hit points still after that?
Not a lot.
I would allow, or I don't know if does your action economy as a magus allow you to include a spell as part of that readied action? Because if not, then I'd say it would. Here.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
What did you say?
Never mind. Zen right.
How many does she have left? Not a lot.
I'm down 80 hit points or something.
80 hit points? She'll hit you with the heal.
Yep.
It's an tactic is not going to work likely anyway, so you're up to full.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, no. He'll try and hold on to that. Given another round, you'll get Shallow Sucker as well, so I'll roll that. Might as well. You each get 34 temporary hit points.
Oh. What if we are still low health?
These are still lost first.
Okay, good.
I thought you were. You said you were okay though.
Yeah. I'm only doing like 30 or so.
Okay. In that case,
not enough to worry about.
No, it's enough to worry about. If you will, if I had known that the bird
I've
would.
got 140 right now. Not a problem.
Okay.
And it's your turn, Leon?
Okay.
Yeah, I suppose so. Out of curiosity, I'm gonna go over here, see nothing, and then I'm gonna complete a double move by going over here.
Okay.
The bird wanted to touch you.
I'm sure it did.
Yeah. On your turn, the bird can attempt to. Fang.
We don't see it. I don't know where it is, so I'm asking my companions, where is the baddie?
If we can respond, it went through the walls and we haven't seen it since. I've seen the corner of it a couple times, but I assume we don't really see that.
Yep. Ready action to hit it when I see it.
Okay. Zenrai will go to there. Just to be in good positioning-ish. In the hallway. Okay, that's my better, yeah. Do we know that was the room trapped, or was there? Is there reason to suspect that
he triggered it by touching the jar? You have now smashed the jar.
Okay, so we don't think that it's the rooms that's being the bad. In any case, there's no reason to stay in the room, so move. There, and Burb will fly to Leon. D5. Just enough room. And heal, and for 22.
Cool.
We are doing a melee touch on Zenrai.
That's not very nice.
We are still misfortuned, so does a 28 hit?
I would assume so. I'll double check.
Zenrai is racked with pain, not in the fun way.
Yeah. 21. Okay, well, she was healed up, so that's better.
I'm guessing my ready action comes into play.
If you can 5-foot step as part of ready to action, yes.
Yeah.
Well, what was that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm having serious audio issues. I'll try to fix it before next game.
So, go ahead.
It's just the one attack, and it's not crittable, so 20 points.
Okay.
The sword is only a +1 now, by the way.
Okay.
I'm guessing that the enchantment went out when I died, because that's in the blade.
Okay. Then nothing at all happens.
Yeah, I figured that. And so I do that and a swift action to enchant the blade.
Okay. Your turn then comes, or... Yeah. Zenrai, I guess.
How much does that do? Huh. Do you, I'm not sure if... Leon, would you... Well, we have to go work beforehand. She'll... 5-foot step. And... She really wants this thing dead, but she doesn't want to not be able to do anything.
Just do it in if you can.
The only thing that she does that could possibly affect it would be to hurt you and try to hurt it at the same time.
Fucking do it. I've got the health.
Okay, if you'll be open to do it, and she thinks
go for it.
Balance of suffering on Leon as the target, as the undead as the secondary target. Instead of healing, it would do harm. It calls it out as being a possibility for the spell. Do you voluntarily fail the will save, Leon?
Yep.
Okay, so you take 39 points of damage.
Spell resistance.
Ah, fuck. So this is gonna be nothing then, because there's no way she's gonna overcome this.
No.
So you took 39 points of damage for nothing, Leon. I apologize.
It's okay. I only took 5.
Oh, right, because he just killed off the shell.
Yep.
Lux.
Do
you still have a heal?
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
I mean, at your level, you're gonna put it down or pretty close.
I can't hit the thing. I've tried to, 24 touch. Okay.
I think you skipped Leon's turn last time because you put Senray after my ready action.
So
Well, that's probably okay. I think that's a valid square, or it should be.
yeah, and I'll accept that as what you were doing. Okay, why do you think? Do you guys not see him? On the turn order?
No, I thought it was my turn, but I'm wrong, so that's okay.
Okay. The movement can be part of the turn you took that I accidentally skipped you.
Sure.
So, he legitimately does not have anything better to do than melee touch. 34
Yeah, hit.
for 29.
Because that's touch attack.
Uh-huh.
Cool.
I'm assuming, is it supernatural or extraordinary, or did it make the concentration?
It does not require a concentration check.
Okay,
It's
that's
a supernatural ability.
right. Just double checking, make sure everyone's on board. This thing is nasty.
Leon.
We're gonna try and hit him. Probably.
That's a yes.
Okay. 68 total.
Damage happens.
Awesome.
Fang.
Yeah. Spell strike. Here's the attack, and I will do the concentration, of course.
I say, if you 5-foot step here, you have a flank. Rules or no, it makes sense that he's trying to avoid Flux's finger right now.
Yeah, cool.
Well, he'd have a flank from me, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that is
totally.
that is entirely true.
Can I stand on this square?
Yes,
Isn't
yes,
that,
you can.
Okay.
I rule it if there's a significant amount of floor visible, then it's a valid square.
About half
Cool.
at least.
So, go ahead. Only attack 2 hits.
Yeah, and do the concentration. Just give me a second.
Okay, and spell resistance as well.
Yeah, coming up. So, spell resistance 35.
Spell resistance is overcome.
Yeah. So, second attack for... it's 4 more damage. I haven't enchanted but put in the macro for the bonus yet, so it's 20 points of damage.
Okay. Plus 5.
What?
You re-enchanted it,
Yeah, I did that last round.
so 20 points of damage, and
Yeah.
the electricity damage as well.
Yeah, but there's only 46 here. I need 10, so I'd roll 66.
Okay, you lost me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the macro for the electricity was 46.
Okay. The macro was
So
broken.
18 plus 21 electricity.
Okay, so 21 electricity happens. 18
Yep.
damage plus 5.
Yep.
Okay. That would be 9. None of the non-electricity damage happens.
None of the electricity.
Non-electricity. The electricity all happens. The other damage doesn't happen at all.
Okay.
As if it were being halved and then the half number were being absorbed by the DR.
Yep.
Which
Understand.
admittedly there's an order of operations questions there, but whatever.
Yeah, because if I didn't do any damage, does the spell take effect?
No, that's not the question. you still hit it with the electricity from your sword. The order of operations question is, should it have and then DR, or DR and then have? I don't...
In most cases, I believe it should have first.
Yeah, DR is last.
Yeah, that's how I've been treating it. Zinray.
Guidance, she'll make the concentration check with an auto, and then I'll try with that, and I crit on my heal.
Roll to confirm.
I'm sure it won't. No.
How much damage?
Don't you have fortune or something? Roll that shit.
I didn't put it on myself. I didn't have the enough rounds for that. But I do roll spell resistance, I'm assuming?
Yes, you do.
1d20 plus 14 plus 8, so 22.
Okay, you have a pretty good chance.
39.
That overcomes.
140 damage.
Boop.
Wow.
Thank God. I'm glad that worked.
You took it from about half health to nothing.
That was half? Oh my God.
Yeah.
All that.
Yeah, we didn't do all that much damage to it.
That thing, because I was giving it max HP, it had, I believe, 280 HP.
Sounds about right.
That is crazy.
Which, considering that everything is halved and reduced, in practice, that's like hundreds and hundreds. That's because it halves so many sources of damage. That's equivalent of if it had about like almost 600.
Right.
Over 600 if you consider the DR.
Right. Out of curiosity, would have hit it on 19? Like, or what was the?
What would a 19 have been?
31.
28 was the magic number.
Okay, so I just was rolling pretty low, relatively low.
Yeah,
then.
you had about a 1 in 5 chance.
Yeah, so it's probably took about that many turns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give you guys extra XP for that.
Cool.
Because, the effects of doubling, or the effects of max HP were greater on the incorporeal creature than they would have been elsewhere.
Makes sense.
No complaints here.
That was definitely a good battle.
This is a worthy combat.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Probably for a single target combat, it's probably the most challenging one we've had in a long time.
Yeah.
It's hard to make a single target that formidable against 4 people. You know.
Okay.
For me, this is what makes the gaming fun and challenging and like a fluid situation, because in almost every other case we have come across, you have stunned something with your sleep, and the 2 other guys have killed it.
Yep.
Right.
But this took something else to make the combat manageable. So that's cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Mm.
Okay. How is everyone doing on health? I know Vin, you're down a little.
Yeah.
How's everyone?
I'm good.
15.
Okay.
I have 5 temporary hit point left.
Plus 5. 8 plus 5.
How's everybody doing on time?
I'm good for now.
Okay.
It's
On.
No, we're within our normal time frame.
Yeah.
It's just
there's 3 rooms left, and none of them have monsters in them. So.
Okay. Cool.
Let's
Yeah.
finish out.
Leon, take 10 just for the sake of taking time.
Saw that. Next room, yeah.
Yeah.
This is room. All right.
So perception before I step in.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you're the one that got dominated. As if it was me, y'all be fucked.
Yeah.
Is trapped as fuck.
But your will save was probably lower.
The door is entirely trapped, but only if you open it from inside the room.
Okay.
Okay.
So get a brick or something and hold the door open once you open it.
Leave the bird outside.
Yeah, but everybody doesn't have to go in.
True.
Yep. So, how does it look in there?
It looks like a bare room.
It does not. Let me give. I'm just giving you XP for the last one because the haunt you got XP for too. So the bare stone walls of this room are etched with spiky, curling runes of overlapping writing. A 10-foot diameter magic circle glows softly on the floor.
Okay, and is it active? Can I do a spellcraft or something to...
You can.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
You want to call me over so I can give it a try?
Let's see if anything fun happens first.
Plus caster level. I mean, you just let's see. So it's 10 plus caster level, or to interpret spellcraft. It's 15 plus the spell level, I think. So yeah, you don't know what it is, but you actually haven't failed by all that much. So
Okay.
You don't come. No.
So I'll if
Yeah, you can go.
yeah, 42 spellcraft.
This is a teleportation circle.
Oh shit.
It was built to allow coming and going, but currently only allows coming. So you cannot use it, but it can receive from another. There's another circle somewhere else in existence that this thing will receive from.
Interesting.
And it's been modified to be inter only. It used to be two-way.
Oh, cool.
So does it is it used to travel from here or to here?
To here.
Okay.
So do you want to break the circle or wait and try and?
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea to break it, because if we destroy it, then we will keep the baddies from entering.
All right.
Yes, unless
we'll use it as a trap.
Well, my thought was that we can unmodify it.
Okay.
And try to go where it leads?
Yeah.
Unmodifying it would, let's see, Pathfinder. Unmodifying it would require you to, at the very least, cast the spell Teleportation Circle again.
That's pretty high level, I believe.
Because you're adding that magic back to it, so. Yeah, for, Teleportation Circle is a 9th level spell.
That's what I thought. I was either 8th or 9th, I wasn't sure.
Yeah. And dispel it is not as simple as scraping your foot across it to make it not work anymore. Like dispel magic would be enough, but it's not a huge deal. But it would require a thing capable of removing a spell.
Gotcha. So let's close the door for now and put this on our list of things to get back to once we cleared everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the most prudent thing to do, just rather than sit around and try to come up with a solution.
What kind of trap's on the door? Do we know that?
To open the door from the opposite side.
Yeah.
Is to summon upon yourself spears from the ceiling, which, if you can see them with the perception check, are coated with an abyssal anticoagulant, which causes horrible bleed damage.
Good
Oh,
God.
cool. All right. That's significantly better than what I was thinking.
And they're also, had you entered this way, there would have been a bunch of those disciples right outside the room as well, so it would have softened you up for them. This was how you were supposed to get in here. The module makers did not think of the teleporting.
Oh, it was a nice thingy, the scrying and the teleport.
Definitely.
Yeah, you came in, but you basically did it backwards.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, that's good.
Still,
that's good that's the way to do things.
I think doing it once in a while is fine. I talked to some people, and they were saying that in their tables, they only enter the boss room of a dungeon. That's the only room they ever enter.
I mean, if you could fucking do that, fucking do it.
I was thinking, like you go through an AP in an afternoon if you really wanted to that way. It just seemed kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's you're robbing yourself some of the best encounters that way, because the bosses are not actually the best encounters, because the best encounters are the ones that they didn't really think through that have weird implications.
Yep.
Or your party isn't really balanced for or something like that. Like this, like with certain builds, like I had, I think I had Ghost Touch, I think on my Magus, or I had the ability to put Ghost Touch on mine. Mm-hmm. So my character would have been great for that, but not for other things, obviously, since there's pluses and minuses for everything.
Yeah.
So.
All right, cool. So next room then.
Yeah, is that it?
The only room. So, I don't know if you've opened. Of course, you can't see it, but the door. I don't know if.
No, we haven't gone that way. But we need to do this thing.
Yeah, through the Skite trap.
Yeah.
Okay, so Leon, you just activated it.
No, I didn't.
I thought we did
exist anymore.
You stone shaped it, right? My brain is dumb. My brain has not slept. My brain has not gotten a correct night's sleep in 2 days. So.
Well, that's kind of why I'm banking on Human being there tomorrow, fully refreshed and able to solve clues and shit.
Yeah, there's no reason I shouldn't be able to get a good night's sleep tonight. He says, knowing that he will jinx himself.
Yeah, I always say that. Tonight I'm gonna go a little bit early, get a good 9 hours, and that's 3 in the morning. Damn it, I was gonna do that, wasn't I?
So, short story in relation to tomorrow. I've got family over. They're sleeping in the room next to mine. About 3 a.m. this morning. I'm thinking over plot and shit. I go into almost a laughing fit because this thing you guys haven't figured out yet. and nobody's mentioned it since it happened. So it's going to be fun.
So, several oily iridescent stains mar this room's stone floor, and an acrid metallic tang hangs in the air. A patch of work tables, each covered with alchemical equipment, sits to the south, while shelves of tinctures and powders and strange alchemical supplies line the walls to the east and west. Brightly glowing crystals mounted on the ceiling fill this chamber with light.
Can you open that door over there from here?
Do you have the spell for that?
I don't.
Anyone?
I don't think it's on my list, but let me double check my sheet. I did not pick it if it is on my list.
Okay.
That was a nice spell. I liked having that.
Yeah. They should have gloves of open close. And Mage Hand.
I would approve a pair of gloves. One casts open close, the other casts mage hand via.
Yeah.
If you want to craft that, I would accept it for any of the games.
I don't have a use for that, but I'm sure somebody would.
Because that would be something like it would be a couple thousand GP for 2 pretty simple spells.
Yeah. Though, if I were gonna make it an item, I would want to make it like a necrotic hand of a thief who was chopped off, and it also does like knock or something today.
Yeah, I mean that could be. Though if it was going to be the
cool
necrotic
thematic shit.
Yeah. Or if it was going to be the necrotic hand of a thief, then I would want it to do something necromantic.
No, I was just thinking, he got his hand cut off for stealing, mummified it.
Maybe.
But
yeah, I think that cloak is a good base item to go off of.
Yeah, something like that.
Just for pricing purposes, just kind of thematic.
I just had a thought. So, as we all know from our discussion earlier from computers, there's nothing fundamentally ontologically different between people and things. People are just a kind of thing, right?
In theory, yeah.
Sure.
So, granted, the game. I mean, any sensible GM would say that you can't, or at least can't always do this. But, what of slaves that actually did have like magical shit implanted into them via magic item rules?
Sure, why not?
I'm not sure if the slaves are valued that much that they would want to spend that kind of gold on them, but in theory.
Yeah.
I mean, it would depend on what you wanted them for and what you wanted to do with them. So, like, granted, the thing about it is, like, if you're going to have a slave and give them the ability to cast cure spells, just force them to become a cleric.
Wow.
But if you have a slave, you have to have a way to control them.
At which point you should probably just make a construct. If you have the money to plant them with shit.
Yeah, if you have the money, because constructs cost like shit loads.
Yeah, I mean, like, you buy a slave for a couple hundred GP, and, here's a holy book, take cleric levels, or I whip you.
I don't know
granted,
if that would work.
The cleric is a bad example.
Yeah.
Wizard levels are a much better example. So long as they have the requisite intelligence score, they can take wizard levels if you whip them if they won't.
Yeah.
It seems like a dangerous idea, though, because of, even low-level spells.
Yeah, because eventually you'll lose control of them. Unless you're better than them, you'll lose control over them.
You need a way to control them.
Yeah. But yeah, or the other obvious thing that occurs to someone is there's the waves of ecstasy. That's the highest one, but there's lower level versions of that apply to one person. Though the thing is, if you have the resources for a slave that does that, in all likelihood you could just get like a ring that does it to yourself. And
yeah, I mean, if we're thinking about ways to do a thing, you lesser geos them into obeying you.
Yeah.
And then, if they don't, then they lose some spells.
Yeah. And I mean, even on there's probably some level of like there's a niche desire for specifically having a person, but
yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it would be common anywhere. Anyways, so this room has like alchemy shit in it.
Yep.
So don't let your bird in here. Firstly.
Any particular reason? I'm not.
Tiny lungs.
Okay. He'll be our watchbird.
Yep. I don't want to canary him.
That's fair. He's fine with he's under pressure. Like after this, he's like, I think going into these rooms is a bad idea. It seems like there's never anything that great in these rooms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Loot.
I don't think it's really worth it, guys. You have enough loot to live the rest of your lives in luxury that would make a king blush. Just quit while you're ahead.
Not wrong, but we could have more and we could give it to the town.
I suppose.
So, given that there's no way to open the other door.
Unique shit.
Oh, hey, there's a thing over here. Huh.
Another door, imagine that.
Yep.
We check out the room to see if there are components and such that we can use to
hold on,
perception and detect magic.
Avoiding weird shit on the floor.
Yeah, you may perception the room. Alright.
Let me...
So, the supplies and notes on the southwest work table are relatively unremarkable, but not the southeast. Give me an appraise check. You auto-succeed on identifying all of those magic items if you detect magic and spellcraft.
Appraise is 9.
9?
That's my bonus. So 24 is the roll.
I got a 50. So you you feel like there's about 6,200 GP in raw supplies for the crafting of potions and potion-like wondrous items.
Oh, that's really cool.
67.
In addition, there are several completed items.
Okay. Do you want to post or read?
I'm going to post.
Okay.
I pull out of my hat the alchemist from Iron Fang invasion and put him to work here.
Yeah, if only.
I heard that thought before. Like, this would be great if I could have some trans game portal I could chuck this thing through and give it to someone else.
Are formula books relevant to any of you?
No.
Nope.
No.
Wait, Humam, what is he for this game? He plays a investigator in one game. I'm not sure.
He's a ranger into a Hell Knight.
Right. Yep. So I know he like in one of the games he could use it, but not.
Which is weird, because they totally isn't playing right.
I mean, he plays himself, so
yeah.
And he ain't no fucking Hell Knight, is the thing.
He's getting better at diversity, though.
Yeah, when I started with you guys, I was quite sure his alignment, it's got to be evil, because what he said and what he suggested, pure evil, a lot of it.
Yeah, I would agree with you there.
Yep.
I got dinged with in our first game. Puppy had to kind of teach me a little bit not to be a sadistic murder hobo.
Oh, I wish I would have seen that. Sounds
I do
fun.
not remember what you're talking about. You mean back in Shattered Star?
Yeah, where I wanted to kill. So a little backstory. I had my patron, the person who set me on the road to be an archer and all that, was killed. I was trying to avenge the death.
Oh, that, yeah.
I found out who the killer was, who was hired, and I had the book of like the people who had hired him for like all of the things. I was like, well, I'm going to kill every single person in this book because eventually I'll reach the person, hopefully, that is ultimately responsible. And apparently,
so you were just eliminating them one by one.
Before I didn't get the chance to start because basically, if you want to continue the story with Blank.
Poof. So what I did was, also in the backstory he had written up, he, as a child, had a friend who was a Blink dog named Poof.
Okay.
And I did two things the moment he declared his intention. He So I had built up like this big great axe wielding dwarf on his level. Like I was going into this thinking like, all right, there's a 50-50 chance we're just gonna lose this character. 1 round.
I win.
Yeah.
Okay.
1 round, Kevin wins. He downs it immediately with a full attack.
Yeah.
And so, when he gets the book and he says that he intends to go through it and kill everyone who hired this mercenary / assassin.
And I don't know, by the way, what they hired him for. It might be take this item from here to there.
Yeah.
You know, it could be anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, I say, okay, no punishment, but Smite Evil works on you now. You're chaotic evil now. He was chaotic neutral before.
Yeah.
So I hit him down to evil. I didn't otherwise punish him. But I had his friend, who was lawful good, show up back in his life, immediately run up to him, and be like all like kind of like happy to see his old friend again, but also like slowly backing away because he can see his evil aura.
Yeah. And
hanging out with them, and but like essentially joining the party. His blink dog. He was technically a blink dog, but I basically had him be invulnerable and ineffectual, so he's there for decoration for the most part.
Yep.
He, a couple times when they got into situations later, I pulled out of my ass that he could lick the Magus' bow and make it holy or merciful if they got into a situation.
Basically to keep you from killing people.
Yeah, merciful to keep him from killing people, and this would affect the spells as well. And holy if they got over their heads and I wanted to give them an edge. So like with the when they fought a dragon later, I did that. So what happened was the dog was around, and we've not told the other reason why I said you were chaotic evil. It was because you'd been put up to this by a Hannibal Lecter analog.
Right.
And he gave you with no prompting from him, decided that you should take a vial of 2 vials of blood, one to give to him and one to keep.
Yes.
From the dwarf. That was the other thing that made me knock you down. So from there, they went back into the dungeon. At this point in the game, they were dying like crazy. I don't know what the problem was. We were losing like 1 character per session, and I had long since given them the Branch of Life, which is which is an artifact that resurrects you as often as you want, basically.
Yeah.
And so they were constantly dying and being risen by that. And so the next time he died, which was immediately,
I remember what happened. I was killed by invisible rogues.
Yeah, by Lurkers in Light.
Yeah.
Lurkers in Light. They have sneak attack, and they these might have even had rogue levels, though I don't think they did.
I remember they had sneak attack, and that was just like I couldn't avoid them. And just like fuck.
Yeah, they had sneak attack, and they were in a brightly lit room, and they were Lurkers in Light, which are invisible in bright light. So Poof then starts licking his body, because Poof can arbitrarily do things by licking the object he's doing them to. And in doing so, caused him to remember the time he spent in the Abyss, which was only like a day, because that's how long it takes for the Branch of Life to resurrect someone. But he came back, and there was a character arc, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it was for my first character. It spoiled me a little bit because like he put a lot of effort in for an AP. I got like a full a full adventure's worth of character arc,
Yeah.
for my character, which is really nice.
Yeah, I mean it's a matter of knife theory. If you're aware,
Yep.
Torsiv, have you heard that before? Did you see that?
No.
It was a thing we shared on Reddit that you should give the GM knives. Knives are things that can make a story personal for your character, even if the story wouldn't automatically be. For Adventure Paths in particular, giving the GM knives is immensely important.
When you say giving him knives, is that like giving him a backstory to work
things
something
that
out?
can be used against you,
Right.
as a character.
So, the dead mentor was a knife. The dog was a knife, and I employed that knife in the nick of time to use that against him. That was very impressive. I'm very impressed with that bit of GMing by me. That's one of my early good GMing decisions. But yeah, so that's what a knife is, and in the context of APs, knives are especially important because, because their APs by default are so detached and uninteresting because they're written to be generic.
Yep.
So it's knives. The more knives the GM has to work with, the easier it is for him to integrate this kind of thing.
It creates a lot of flavor for everybody.
Yeah. Whereas in Belkzen, it's relatively easy for me to tie the story into you guys. So, because though even then, giving me knives is important. But I've managed to manufacture knives for Belkzen. So I included that kid in the first adventure, knowing he would be turned into a vampire. I intended that from the very beginning. Now though the deal thing that's now becoming basically the plot, that happened organically. The thing is, Kevin is good at giving me knives, so that he ends up becoming the main character of all of them. If one has to pick one, there's Luke, there's Han, there's Leia, but Kevin becomes the Luke in every group because he's good at giving me knives.
I'm good at the tragic backstory of tragicness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just play weird characters.
Yeah.
I noticed.
So,
in my group where I does tabletop gaming, it's basically the same. There's one guy who always ends up with the short end of the stick from the GM. He falls into traps. He gets cursed items, and he gets some sort of curse or something, and it generally ends up with him.
Yeah.
So,
doors.
Yeah. There's also some extensive notes on the on this table, but let's end with that. Let's do the doors first.
Yep.
Okay.
Does this room seem fairly safe for breathing?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, Kevin, with your 50 perception check, I'm just gonna. We gonna be cooperative?
Figure out that we're surrounded.
No, secret door.
Oh.
Cool.
There's a little side room there. Let's see. Figure out what's actually in it. Yeah. Contains a glowing magical circle.
Ooh.
In fact, this is the device that the notes in the other room explained how to use. It's called a recall portal. It's akin to a teleportation circle, save that it works more akin to a word of recall spell, sending anyone who steps upon it to a place of safety and shelter if you concentrate.
Huh.
Like a predetermined?
No, somewhere where you personally feel comfortable.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
Furthermore, if you step on the portal without concentrating, you must make a DC 20 will save or be whisked away to Shax's abyssal realm.
Oh.
I think that's the opposite of what a comfortable place would be. So.
Not meant for normal people.
Okay, so if we don't destroy it, I'll put a note saying, concentrate on happy thoughts on the door before.
Yeah. Okay, the door.
Yes.
And we were suddenly next to the engine on a fishing boat.
Yeah.
A large cauldron hangs over a stone basin at the eastern end of this room. Work tables stained with blood and covered with stained rags and butcher's tools line the north and south walls. Underneath the tables are several crates. The heavy scent of chemicals and wax is almost overpowering. A single door exits to the southwest.
Perception and enter.
Door in this room. Oh, it's counting the door that we came in from.
Yeah.
I don't... okay, so, there's... Perception doesn't reveal anything in particular. There are numerous notes of on trap design that can be, found here. Studying them takes 10 minutes of work, and blah blah blah. It would give you a bonus to detect traps here, but that ship has sailed.
Yep.
Are they worth anything?
Actually,
I would imagine that they should be.
yeah, that ship has indeed sailed. You've gotten all of them. Yeah, they're probably worth something if you can hide their origin. I'll say if you auction them off later, $229 gold.
Okay.
You know, maybe we should take over the Phantasmagorium again and put shit up like this on display and charge like a gold piece for entry. You know,
we should definitely do something.
The shit the Silver Ravens dealt with during their adventures
turning that into
the
like
city.
Turning the Phantasmagorium into like the Silver Raven Museum.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's not being used for anything currently.
I would say copper piece, just because gold. The money's not going to be.
Oh, you're right. Maybe a silver.
Okay.
I mean, that would be kind of appropriate.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, gold piece sounds a little high for that, but
yeah.
We just want as many people as possible to enjoy the wonders.
Tourist destination, because the city needs shit like that.
Definitely, always good. So we cleared the secret room. We didn't destroy it, but we at least did everything that we could for now.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool. Bottom door.
Just that one.
Perception, enter.
Is closet.
Ooh.
Are you sure it's just a closet?
Is closet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah.
I had one of my games. It was they found a secret door, and it was into a closet kind of thing, but it was very. There wasn't so much room, so they have to squeeze to get in. And squeezed in, got to the end, and faced the shadow.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that didn't work well.
Just looking at this, it's a really shitty design to put like the secret door over here when you could put it in the 2 square doorway of,
yeah,
you know, make them come through here.
Yeah. I think the secret door isn't supposed to be quite that wide, but yeah, even so.
I can see your point there. So you don't even get a chance to see it unless you go into the closet, which not many people are going to be doing.
I mean, people are going to be changing there, collecting stuff, putting stuff there. It's a big closet, considering. So, but all right, you said there was what notes on the table, and then we're gonna, yep.
Yeah. So we'll end with the notes on the table. There's still the room over here.
Oh, you want to do that room then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought we were starting next session with that, so I misunderstood what you meant.
That's the way I heard it, but yeah, let's do the room over here.
I'm lost.
This way, all the way back into the bloody table room.
Got it. Right. We're in the upper floor now.
I think it's still lower floor.
Yeah, the door is in the lower floor. Just gather yourselves and I'll teleport you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
4 wheeled stretchers stand in the center of this otherwise empty room. A vaguely human shape lies atop each stretcher under a stained sheet. The air in the room stinks of decay.
About right.
Heal check?
They are dead.
Like, cause of death?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
They're each killed by a single surgical incision at the base, at the top of the spine.
As we expected.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the murder victims from the guy?
These are more, yes.
Anyone reading that we recognize, or has it been too long?
There is a shopkeeper that you recognize.
Okay.
That you've met in here.
So these are waiting to get on the display outside?
Essentially, yeah.
Yep.
So
this is kind of a storage then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The room actually has a gentle repose effect on it.
You know, this would have been the perfect room to wrap around the plot back to the Dean isn't really the Dean, her body is in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Module doesn't, though.
You know.
I have a question. Just, was the killer the same killer as before, or was it a demon who just took his name?
You still don't know.
Okay. That was bugging me, so I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss something. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
You've not missed anything. It's that's still kind of an ongoing mystery.
Okay. I'm on the same page then, so that's good.
We should like destroy this room or something, maybe.
I'm assuming consecrate when we have the time to and bury the dead and all that.
Yeah, I mean it's just gentle repose. There's nothing wrong with it.
But there's just try to get the evilness, the out of here.
Well, I was just thinking, room down here like this may be a less than good idea.
Yeah. So the door automatically closes each round and resists attempts you make to open it.
This door?
Re-
The door to the room you're currently in.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I have a tool called hammer.
You're
pretty
using that a
big.
lot.
Yeah, that's what it's for.
I mean, it's the benefit and the bane of the martial character is you have one tool and you hope it works.
Yeah.
One tool to fit them all.
Yep.
The door is made of magically reinforced iron. How much damage can you do?
A lot.
How much damage, considering that that you don't crit this thing and don't vital strike it?
Why wouldn't I be able to vital strike it? I've been able to vital strike objects before.
I suppose.
No vital places to strike.
That's not how the feat works.
Yeah.
It's just the name.
Yeah, we have been allowing vital striking of objects before, so yeah, continuously doing that, you could get rid of it in several rounds.
Yep. It's really noisy, and you guys hate it. But the door's gone.
Yeah.
The bird is covering its ears with its wings.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
as best it can.
The hinges are still closing each round.
I'm gonna take those.
All right.
Can Kevin? Can you put that on the list? Magic closing. Not for any other reason than to just like lay them on the table and watch them flap around.
That's exhibit 1 of our new museum.
Yeah, actually.
The Magus points out that if we ever need to do the silent approach, either out or in, I'm usually able to do the dimension door thingy.
Cool.
I have the ability as well in theory, but mine is from an artifact that the book that has a percentage change to turn the page. So if you have your ability to use that, would be better.
Yeah. In the past, we have stone-shaped the area around the door away, but I'm not playing the smartest character, so I'm not going to pick up those by default.
And if it's magically reinforced, it's not going to be just the door; it's going to be the wall. So otherwise, what's the point? And so then it's debatable if stone shape's going to work on magically reinforced materials like that.
You'd think that, but like there's ancient Chinese proverbs about that nobody could get through, so through the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I heard that before. Like the first time playing D&D, they were like, they couldn't find it, couldn't find the key, like playing for an hour, they couldn't do anything. And it's like, well, why don't you break down the door? You have the ability to. You're strong. You can just do that. And it didn't even occur to them that was an option. Playing art, a video game, RPGs for so many years, or video games.
Yeah, video games too many years does that.
Looking at the notes now.
Yeah. So this takes several hours. So this is something you would do later.
Okay, so we've collected the notes.
Do we need to know certain languages for these notes, or are they in languages we might know?
It doesn't say anything about you needing to know certain languages.
Okay, so we would assume it's common by default then, or assume it's the same as the one before? Okay.
Assume that it's they were not written by the same. Actually, it would be the same as before probably because it's the same guy. So.
Okay, let me look how long I have comprehend languages for. I think it's minutes. 10 minutes per level.
Okay.
So
this would be the next day, unless you could do it again.
I could do it 4 more times.
Okay. That wouldn't be enough. 10 minutes per level, though, so per level is pretty high here, so that's 150 or 140 minutes times 4. 600. So, that's 5 hours, 300 minutes. So yeah, you do have several hours of it, so that'll work. here's what you learn. So, the alchemist who you fought, who was the author of these notes, he had been growing increasingly frustrated with his inability to figure out what Barzillai Thrune had been attempting to do with the Soul Anchor. From his notes, you infer the Soul Anchor is a structure underneath Kintargo. You are able to, let's see. You are unable to discern its exact location from these notes. However, you do learn a few things. The Soul Anchor is the product of Mahathala, who is a high-ranking devil who used to be a psychopomp, who therefore she enjoys disrupting the River of Souls. Its normal effect is to allow some people to retain their memories after being killed, whereas a person normally loses their memories upon dying when they're taken to the Boneyard, such that the resulting petitioner has their personality and memories intact.
The petitioner would be the god, or the
petitioner being the person who died.
Oh, the person who died. Okay.
Yeah. It also explains that Barzillai, a few months ago, during the rebellion, so during like part 2, while you guys were exploring your base for the first time when you were clearing it, Barzillai actually visited the Soul Anchor, carved his heart out, and placed it there.
Oh. Yep.
The writer of these notes does not know why, but you know what Barzillai's long-term plan was.
Mm-hmm.
To become the city.
Yeah. Well, Cheliac, to become the entire country, ultimately.
Oh, the country. Okay, that's
yeah.
Okay.
So, with that, it's past 4, and we've finished this area.
Yep.
There are.
Go ahead.
There are 2 more alliances you guys need to make, and we might finish part 5 next week. Because
well, very important thing before we do that is figuring out how to get out and figuring out how to get in.
Out of here?
Get out from here is easy. 2 ways to get out of here. It's the secret room with the portal with the getaway thing, or a teleport.
Yeah. So then I suppose the answer is, how do normal people get in here? Where's the circle?
The other circle was the way to get in. Is this the way to get out, basically?
Yeah.
Essentially. You don't know where the other circle is.
Right. So that's a thing we have to work on.
You never encountered it because you teleported down here.
Yep.
Yeah, and we haven't found a door that we don't know where leads, so maybe a secret place somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's on the to-do list.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay. So, that's that then?
Yep. All right.
Yep.
Catch you guys tomorrow then, yeah?